Ladies and gentlemen, foes and fans, friends and fudders, welcome once again to Meme Mania and the 36 Chambers of Tech. I am your host, Shytoshi Kusama, and it's a pleasure for me to be here today, of course, because of divine providence. Tada Elohim. Now, today, on this wonderful Tuesday, we're going to talk about treat, bone, leash, and our beloved shib, how exactly they work, and why they're designed this way. So let's get started. A question I get all the time when I pitch is, bro, why do you have 4 tokens? Like, I don't understand. Don't you just need like 1 token, dude? Like, bro, you don't need 4 tokens. This makes no sense. I don't understand. And I say, bro, but it does. I mean, like, think about it. When you look at the United States government, arguably, very arguably, one of the best structures ever designed, if it was set up properly and working the way it was designed and not overhauled because of a variety of reasons I don't want to get into, it would work great. It's basically designed around a 3-part system. Each of these parts works in tandem with checks and balances to make sure that each branch has autonomy, but at the same time has checks and balances, can never overtake the entire system, unless of course you were able to overtake the entire system. But yeah, that's where blockchain comes in. Let's recap. There's the legislative branch, the executive branch, the judicial branch, and these 3 branches work together. So if you were designing a new world, a new type of state, a new digital network state, how would you utilize a similar system? Especially when you wouldn't want any one token or any one thing to be a single point of failure, including myself, which is why this whole system has to be handed over. The foundation is for you to build. Now, in my opinion, and I can only assume this is the thinking that Ryoshi had when he designed this, but maybe not. But again, I'm just working with what I was given and the job that I was given. I believe SHIB represents community. It is our largest holding with trillions of tokens. And the community will decide community things. That's how it should be. Of course, you'll need committees and things like that to filter different questions or requests from the community, but overall, the community decides. Then you have leash. Now, leash becomes this judicial branch. They are the judges. They also deal with exclusivity. That means that sometimes leash holders might get things before everyone else. They might find out things before everyone else. They might get access before everyone else. They are the exclusive bunch, but we give them a little responsibility for that exclusivity, which would mean that they'll have to do things like help solve problems. In other words, let's say something bad was to happen, God forbid, inside like the metaverse, like someone gets cursed out or something, somebody's harassing someone, these type of things happen. You know, all the scammers, right? And the person who is going through that problem should be able to bring their issue to the court, quote unquote, and the judicial branch can decide yes or no, bad or good, this is the result, this is what happens, right? That makes sense. And in our system, the same thing works except on chain, and the leash holders are the decision makers. Technically, since we are an army, the SHIB army, they would also be our military. But I won't go too much into our military operations as it pertains to liquidity and finding liquidity and doing things like vampire attacks. That's for another moment's discussion. Then you would need some sort of executive branch where things are executed properly and quickly, and that's done with Bone. Obviously, if it runs our blockchain, our L2 blockchain with over 500 million transactions, good job, Kyle, then the ability to execute quickly and cheaply is extremely important. And that is where Bone and the governance for all of this executionary and also technological questions come into play. What should we do? How do we upgrade? All these different questions. Somebody's got to answer all that stuff when there is no leader. And then the final token is Treat. Now, I'm personally extremely excited about Treat because it's the last one of the 4, not including the stablecoin, which is stable and just kind of allows people to quickly switch when the time is right and the shift takes place between bull and bear. So, treat represents this secret branch of government you will find in some places. I'm not going to name any places, but that is innovation. Corporations usually lead innovation. Too often their interests are put ahead of the community, of the common person. But ideally, they would also have their own branch where innovative things can take place, where marketing is decided. Ethical marketing, not like I'm going to ram down your throat that you can smoke cigarettes and they're good for you like they did in the 60s. Yeah, no, not that. I'm talking about real marketing where I can promote your product fairly, I can get paid fairly, etc., etc. And of course, when I speak about innovation, it's about innovative pieces of technology like AI, new systems or new protocols that may come up. How do we decide about that? What do we invest in to take this project to the next level? Do we put all our funds into AI? Do we invest in creating a certain type of AI? Do we invest in certain places to get adoption? Where would those decisions take place? And do we have the budget to be able to pay to onboard new people, new communities, new systems? Okay, Treat handles all of this. Now, zoom out and take a look and see that this system is actually pretty darn genius, if I do say so myself, and to make sure that it was written in stone well over a year ago. I mean, a full year ago, we announced our sovereignty and laid all of this out in the SHIB paper over 100 pages. I don't know what more you can ask for from a decentralized community than to have this type of governance structure. Governance is one of the key pillars of a nation state. You have to be able to govern yourself. You have to be able to govern the entire community because honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, most of the community's not going to vote. They're not going to vote on things. They're too busy working 2-3 jobs to, fight off inflation like everyone else in the world, including myself, for much of my life. So I get it. We are building for the small community of Shibisons, as we like to call them, that will make the decisions for the larger millions of tourists. Now look, let me explain how powerful this is exactly so you understand. When a country figures out its GDP, there are various ways to calculate it. But overall, it's a way to see basically how successful your country is. And there's various parts to GDP. There's GDP, and then there's GDP per capita. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all the calculations involved, but I'm going to give you a basic overview. For GDP, it is calculated as all of the transactional funds that take place within a currency that runs a nation. Okay, so the GDP of the United States is well into the trillions because that's how much movement takes place with the United States dollar. Now, when you look at the GDP of SHIB, you can calculate it pretty simply because every day SHIB does $1 billion plus in transactional volume, and that creates wealth for someone. Not me, I don't get paid off the transactional volume. Not you, mainly the exchanges. Hi, and trust me, I bit my tongue with the word that I had in my mind after hi, but I'll just say hi. Hi. Now, all of that transactional volume can be calculated. You'd say something like 365 or so billion dollars if you estimate $1 billion per day, which of course SHIB does more than that because some days we do 7 or 8, some days we do 1. And just for the record, all you other memes out there, time out, bro. You cannot calculate GDP because you do not have a citizenship system. So all this idea that, if Facebook had this many, it would be this nation GDP, it would be ranked here. They don't have a citizenship either. They have membership, and there's a difference. You have to have all the requirements to consider yourself a nation state. And I mean legally, but of course we're just a meme, so let's say memely, which is not a word, but I just made it one, I guess. So Again, calculating that GDP, we estimate somewhere around 30-ish, 32, 33, somewhere around Singapore as GDP. But if you calculate GDP per capita, meaning how many people actually retain citizenship, which we don't know yet because we haven't had our first citizenship drive, but we will soon. We estimate that we are ranked. Want to guess? Take a moment. Go ahead and guess. Don't run any calculations here. Just guess what number we are for GDP per capita in the world as a nation state. Take a guess. I'll wait. Yeah, that's right. Number one. Number one. Number one by far. By far. By far. And you think this is too complicated? You think this is just a meme? You think this is a joke? This is not a joke. This is the future of tech. And I'm done. See you next episode.